WQEE 99.1 FM The Key, Noonan, Sharpsburg, Franklin, LaGrange.
When you hear music, do the lyrics speak to you on a deeper level? I'm Bruce Thornton. Join me and Donna Wood every Friday morning at 10:30 a.m. on WQEE 99.1 FM The Key for our show Lyrical Wisdom. Every week we will dive into the lyrics of songs and uncover hidden messages that we hope will leave you feeling inspired and enlightened. We know that our ideas may not always line up with yours, so this show will be an open discussion. Email us with ideas for songs at lyricalwisdomshow@gmail.com. That's lyricalwisdomshow@gmail.com. Let's share some wisdom together.
Hank Arnold here from Coweta Force. Coweta Force is Noonan's own addiction recovery support center. We exist to provide recovery support services for individuals and family members who have been impacted by addiction. Our services are no cost, and all of our information is available on our website at www.cowetaforce.org or follow us on Facebook.
The House of Light brings clarity to your soul, offering a safe space for healing through our compassionate practitioners, services, classes, and wisdom, plus the tools to support you in our retail space.
This is Margie from Connecting Hearts Network. I'd like you to take just a moment and listen to Linda Kirkpatrick explain to you what Family Patterns Matters is all about.
Family Patterns Matter works with youth and their families to help overcome barriers that prevent their success. We meet twice a month with mentoring, tutoring, teaching life skills, resilience, gratitude, and kindness. We also bring music and art therapy. Please visit our website at www.familypatternsmatter.org.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org.
Filled with hate and rage, and people who go and they expose themselves online with hateful, awful messaging because they're not doing as well as they could be in this world, you know? And we have all these signs and signals of what poor mental health is, but I like to talk more about what mental health is. The positive side, the good side, the things that we can do to improve our lives over and over again. Just remember, human beings are built in such a way that we can make changes to improve ourselves. I know that's not a popular view now. It's distract, it's avoid, it's, deny, it's rationalize, it's justify, it's I'm okay, I don't care about you. It used to be I'm okay, you're okay. Now it's I'm okay, I don't want to hear it, right?
Yes.
It's almost like we've lost our compassion for the other. And I just like to say, that's not a healthy way to be in life. It makes you feel unsafe. Makes you feel like things in life are going wrong. Makes you feel like every time you step out, there's possibility of something happening to you that might not be good. So let's try to think about that. Let's reflect on that. Let's try to work towards, in this new year, 2024, a new way to look at the world, a way to see that there are others out there, a way to point and see and think about how we can improve first our own selves and find our own ability to care for and have compassion for ourselves, and then to reach out and understand about others in the world. And, for me, I think it comes down to learning how to deal with life. I went to a workshop it was a month ago, I guess now. Yeah, maybe even longer, a month and a half. I went to a workshop and somebody says, the only thing in the world we can control is our intention. Not even the results of what we think we're supposed to be doing, but our intention of what we'd like to do. When we make those changes, it helps us to move away from our self-judgmental, critical, anxious self into a better place where we feel that we have a little more control over our own emotions, our own destination, our own ideas in life. And that to me is important. We have to know and feel that we have a life in which we matter, a life in which we could have good things and have a life that's good. And by good things, I don't mean a boat, a car, a house, a young, sexy partner, add plastic surgery, all the things in life that say, hey, I'm good, I look good, feel good, I am good. Necessarily, that is not always true. But the good things I'm talking about are a healthy mind, using our emotions that we're built with to regulate and make our life feel balanced, to make our life feel like there's a flow, to give us more health, which is defined by you, but often seen as something that your doctor can assist you with. Happiness, which is something that you can construct and come up with in your life. And then harmony, a life in which you have a series of good events that you pay attention, notice, and you're grateful for. This is sort of why we talk about this stuff in the show. I am a licensed professional counselor. I advocate for mental health here in Georgia, because Georgia, we really need some help with our mental health services. Traditionally, we're number 50 out of 50 we're at the bottom of the list for the resources we have available for our mental health population. And being the sixth most populated state, to me, that's a crime. I'm going to say it on the air over and over and over again, because I think it's a crime. We need support for our people who don't have enough money to get help, to help them get back on their feet, to help them get better. We need money for our veterans out there who struggle, who have gone and served, who are great people, who have just been put in some bad situations and something happened and it cost them. And they rightly deserve to have benefits and a system that actually supports them, doesn't make them wait online on hold for like 8 to 10 hours so that they can get something unpaid for 6 to 8 months, so that they can go back and, we still have 17 veterans a day who are taking their own lives. That, to me, is a crime. We should have zero veterans a day taking their own lives. We should have thousands of veterans getting help, So it's something that I always pursue. Remember, right now, our legislative session here in Georgia, for all of you wonderful Georgia citizens, is opening up. So this is time to pay attention to what's on the slate for legislation. As a mental health professional, I advocate for my profession. I'm going to hang out with some congressmen and senators tonight. We're going to chit-chat about the upcoming legislation, and we're going to work on making this thing happen called mental health parity, which means you, by law, have the right to have the same benefits for mental health as medical health. Quite often, the benefits are not equal. Services are cut short. You have these unexplained denials of payment, unexplained unauthorization of benefits, and sessions and treatment is controlled by insurance, not by your provider. So we're working to change that, because it's a federal law that those things have to be equal. And last year, we actually passed a law that made it legal in Georgia. It is supposed to be mental health benefits equal medical health benefits as far as what's covered and what you get reimbursed for. So keep that in mind as you look at your legislative session. If you see something that's important to you, call your local, your state representative, your state senator, because these guys are really working hard. They don't do this as a full-time job. They're not full-time politicians. They're part-time politicians who work out in your communities. And these guys have a fantastic response to phone calls. It's amazing. We do it all the time. We will send thousands of calls into the offices, and they listen to us. I got to meet our Secretary of State and his assistant, not assistant, but co-author, and present a paper for them, and the action was immediate. I just would like to say that. I'd like to post that as a benefit to them. They made changes right away. They affected our business license in Georgia to make it faster for professional counselors to get out there and be servicing clients. So with all that highfalutin soapbox talk, I'm going to jump into the topic today. Today I want to talk a little bit about anxiety, because, you hear about it all the time, right? Stress, anxiety, stress, anxiety. Stress is a health issue. Stress is a health issue. Anxiety, anxiety, anxiety. Well, the truth is, I hate to break this to everybody, but you will never be without anxiety unless you are so modified by drugs and other applications that you can't really feel at all. Anxiety is meant for the good of a human. And I'd just like to say that again. Anxiety is meant for the good of a human. And I'd like to say this out loud. This is not saying that trauma doesn't exist, but I'd just like to say all anxiety and stressful things are not trauma. Trauma is a specific category related to excessive flood of emotional stimuli, primarily negative induced fear and anxiety and stress all at once that cause somebody. Trauma can be related to a person and an event that specifically cause lingering issues. It can also impact you so greatly at the moment that you have things like dissociation, depersonalization. I work with people with trauma all the time. I've been trained in trauma competency before it was even a thing. I was doing trauma work in the ERs for years before it was even called this fancy title, trauma competent certified coordinated therapist or whatever they call it. But, for me, it's important work, but it is the goal of trauma is to do this thing where we build supportive narratives called schemas and scaffolding, and we build up the client slowly so that they can have something that's called a memory consolidation. Well, Freud used to call it catharsis, but we call it a memory consolidation now, where you can have a memory that used to cause you great anxiety and fear, and you can detach that great anxiety and fear. It doesn't forgive the situation. It doesn't let go of the situation. Sometimes it doesn't heal the situation totally, but it does make it so that it's not such an impact on your life. When we talk about things like post-traumatic stress disorder, that's a moment that is imprinted in you that causes you to be triggered by outside stimuli to have an automated response, like you don't have a lot of control over it, in which you have there's so many symptoms I don't even want to mention them, but it's all connected to trauma, and usually it's related to an overflow of stress, overflow of stimulus, overflow of emotional content, usually violence, sometimes not. Sometimes it's events that cause this thing. But back to anxiety. Anxiety is meant to be a healthy thing. Anxiety is used for something, and its underpinning is usually a fear or a risk in the world. Stephen Porges, Dr. Porges, has come up with this theory called the polyvagus theory, or polyvagal theory, and he talks about the vagus nerve, how it reacts to stimulus in the environment. All stimulus is signals. It's light, it's sound, it's smell, it's sensory data. Our body has automated symptoms, and they're designed to keep us alive. Amazing, isn't it? We don't often think about that. We have automated systems, and when we study different kind of animals, we know that their brains are programmed in such a way that they even change the circulation in their body. Blood flows to the calf and thigh muscles so they can take off and run quickly. Your breath comes faster so you can get more oxygen in as quick as possible. You get ready to do that thing that we talk about over and over in counseling. If you've never heard this before, open your ears because it's been said a lot. Fight, flight, freeze, feed, or fool around. The 5 F's. Those are the things. We want to satisfy our impulses because we're looking just to the basic survival instincts. We're using the parts of our brain that were evolved first. When we were those Neanderthal guys, clubs, walking around, caves, hunter-gatherers, all that stuff, primarily living on this anxiety to get more. We need more. Food is bad, get more. Fire out, put on more wood. Go get more, live more, make more people. All these things. We're primarily living in it this is a threat or not because there's some big old giant animal out there trying to get us. Or there's food that we don't have that we got to find. It's primarily to help us to survive. Anxiety is built to make us and help us get up and go. If we don't have anxiety, it's really hard to do anything. But if we have too much anxiety, guess what? it's really hard to do anything. If you think about it, what pushes you to get up and go? Is it a voice in your head? Is it a feeling? Is it a moment? Is it a shower in the morning? Is it a shave? Is it a look in the mirror? Is it getting dressed? Is it you talking to yourself, I got to get to work. Is it you rushing out of the house with your morning routine because you're always getting up late because you dread the fact that you got to go in and make the donut? Really, it's anxiety. The vagus nerve reacts to signals in the environment in ways that calm, alarm, or dysregulate the body. You want to hear something else? Our body is built neurologically to be in balance. We have this thing called homeostasis, which means our body is in balance. But we also have another thing called allostasis. Allostasis is when the body is working to balance itself out. It's the process by which every cell in our body, every group of cells that are pushed into a organ or organ system, such as our skin, our liver, our kidneys, our endocrine system, our cardiovascular system, our neurological system, all work to bring the body to balance. If we work in a healthy, sort of nourishing way, and I'm not sure if you've met people who actually do that, but most humans are about, we try real hard. Some of us really get there. Some of us over get there. And then some of us are just like, whatever. So we have various ways of that. But mentally, if you're healthy and you work on things like bringing more joy into your life, peaceful existence, relaxation. We'll talk about some of the things you can do to curb your anxiety a little bit later. But the more we do that, the more we can regulate our body. Stephen Porges said that as a social species, we evolve to neurally regulate and be regulated around us. And that's where anxiety comes in, because that's kind of our input, and then it becomes the kind of filter that we filter the world through. And more neuroscience is demonstrating to us that we actually have systems that work together. We don't know all of what they do, but we have systems that work together in sync to help us regulate our environment. It's called the multimodal theory of the mind. Of the brain, actually, not the mind. Mind is more philosophical. The brain is more biological, neurological. But anxiety primarily works within the default mode network, and then what we call the salient network. Now, the salient network is paying attention to our environment. This is where the vagus nerve is really active. In this salient network, it's our brain sensory ability to detect around us and assess threats or see enjoyable things. The hard part is the more threats you have, the harder it becomes to see and relax and enjoy things. And if you have a mental issue or a mental problem, you're actually altering the way your circuitry in your brain is working. Studies are showing that people who have depression, which also comorbidly exists with anxiety, utilize this thing called the default mode network. This is where you think, imagine, daydream, create, get scared, worry, obsess, think about things over and over and over. It's also where you hold things that possibly could pop into your salient network right away. Oh, that ice cream tasted terrible. Don't get the ice cream. Or, oh, that person was mean to me. Stay away from them. Stay away from them. Or, oh, that person made me mad at Christmas. Don't talk to them. Don't talk to them. Why should I talk to them? Don't talk to them. They made you mad at Christmas. It's a thinking that's going on repetitively over and over. Our goal is to use anxiety for our benefit in life. And more theories are saying that there's a positive form of anxiety out there that provokes us, that pushes us, that challenges us. Sometimes people believe that the stress of almost everything in life causes traumatic things in life. And I would say that may not be 100% accurate. I'm not going to say that things in life cannot cause you stress, and that the stress is so great it causes trauma. But if everything in life is so stressful that it causes you trauma, then you might need to figure out new ways of coping with and strategies to deal with life, because it would be impossible to live if everything in life is going on. And that's where it becomes sort of a mental health issue, where it's negative mental health. You're not in a good space when the whole world is so scary you can't go outside. For young kids, when school is so terrible that you don't want to go because you're being bullied or made fun of. You need to figure out ways to cope and deal with it. You need to figure out ways to find environments in which you have safety, security, peace, so your brain can regulate itself to understand that somewhere in the world I matter, somewhere I'm safe, somewhere I belong. But as we deal with anxiety and we learn about anxiety more and more, it becomes more and more difficult. Another thing that's really impacting our society is we had a pandemic a little while ago. I don't know if you guys remember that, but the whole world was shut down for like a couple of years or something, like wasn't really working right. Everybody's at home on screens. Every time you went outside, it felt a little dangerous, or you got a little angry because that dude's wearing that mask again, and them folks, and them knows they, them, that dude in there. Them, that they there have been thinking like that. And they said this and they said that, and why did they say this, and then why did they bad that, and those people don't know what them and there is talking about. And all that stuff happened, So people have in the back of their mind that the environment's not safe, the world's not safe, there's something out there, or that there's people in the world that don't think like me and they're not safe. There's others. So we're disconnected and fearful. And that's the breeding ground for what we call bad anxiety. It's the anxiety that limits your life. It's the anxiety that closes you off. It's the anxiety that says, I don't know how to talk to people. I don't know how to make friends. There's no way I can make friends. I don't want to meet others. I don't want to do this new thing. I don't want to take the risk. I don't want to go outside. I don't want to stop playing video games. I want to shut off all my emotions. I want to stay at home forever. I want to get a job streaming so that all I do is get up, stream, make money, eat Cheetos, go to bed, get up, stream, make money, eat Cheetos, go to bed. But it's not really how we're built. Aristotle said in 350 BC, long time ago, maybe 349 BC, we don't know. We just have notes from his lectures, really, because it was so long ago. But he said humans are social animals. We're built to be with other humans. In a healthy life, you don't feel anxiety in a crowd. You don't monitor yourself so closely that you can't speak. You have points in which we call you are authentic. You're who you are. You drop everything, and you have to have that in life to feel okay. If you don't, it's a great thing to work towards. Being comfortable with me. Some of the deepest work we do in psychology is this. We ask this question to people all the time, and most of the time you don't get an answer. We ask this question, who are you? Who are you? If the thought of that makes you a little anxious, it's a really good time to pick up some good, healthy practices to understand who you are. What do you stand for? What is your ethical, moral background? What do you know? How do you love? How do you feel? What are the most emotions you feel during the day? Is it always fear? Is it anger? Is it worry? Is it joy? Is it love? Is it peace? Is it compassion? Is it a feeling of ableness, expertise, a feeling that you're okay? Do you feel as though you matter in your world and your life? These are all possible results of a positive anxiety, an anxiety that pushes you towards the better. I like the idea that humans can reach their own potential through their own actions. That's called existentialism. It's a really long word for a short little thing like that, right? Existentialism, we exist to find our own potential. In the 60s, Abraham Maslow, well, actually in the 40s, like starting in 1943, began a series of papers on motivation. In these motivation papers, he created his world-famous hierarchy of needs. Although most feminists deny, because, hierarchy establishes, patriarchal systems. For those of you who watch the new Barbie, you'll understand what I'm saying. Like, he really promoted patriarchal systems with hierarchicals. But the truth is, he's kind of right. We're actually finding out through neuroscience and evolutionary psychology that Maslow's very first rung on the pyramid was absolutely on the number. In order to be motivated, we need to feel safe, and we need to feel like we belong somewhere in this world. Sorry, I've had a tickle in my throat all morning. Maslow was right. I'm saying it out loud. I'm saying it once. I'll say it twice. Maslow was right. He believed every cell in our body is designed to reach the potential of being a cell in our body. Our overall existence, somewhere inside us, we have the ability to be potentially the best version of us. And most people say then, like, really, Dr. Boynton? Are you sure about that? What about all these environmental stuff? What about the world? What about all this other stuff? Is it nature? Is it nurture? Well, we say it's both, but if I have the ability to reach my potential, is this my potential? Out of work, really depressed, staying at home all the time, is that my full potential? Maslow would say no. He would say somewhere inside you, you've got to figure out a way to find out what it is. And you do that through getting these awesome, what he called being needs and deficiency needs met, to where you feel safe, where you have relationships, where you find joy, where you find belonging, where you find love. And then eventually you find a higher purpose, which he calls self-actualization. Some people would say it's not quite enlightenment, but it's an actual where you have these moments where you feel like everything's okay. Aristotle said that's what we call human flourishing. It's a weird word, I know, but I like it. Flourish. It just kind of rolls off the tongue. Flourish, right? It's more than thriving. It's existing in your potential. It's living a life in which you feel like you are moving somewhere positive, not moving somewhere negative. This is when the anxiety to produce, to promote, to create comes. This is where the anxiety to achieve comes. This is where the drive that pushes you to meet these essential needs, not necessarily monetarily, but to contribute to the world around you, to find the higher purpose, to find meaning and seek it out. Anxiety can push you to find meaning. Long ago, we used to have these things called rites of passage. Long since diminished. It used to be within cultures, you would have to do these exercises. Warriors would take males into the woods on vision quests. Tribes would take members, and they would go through these spiritual journeys to find their vision, purpose, meaning. In a society now where we can almost find out about any of that and have information at our fingertips, many of us don't seemingly have the rite of passage. We don't know when we become adult. I'm seeing more and more adolescent kids so anxious about growing up because they don't know what it is. They just sort of live and guess. And if things are too hard, they hide out until they figure out a way to do something a different way. So all these contributions, the pandemic, technology, too much information, not enough information, too much of the wrong information, too much information that supports only my ideas and nobody else's, information that closes our minds, not opens our minds, information that is incorrect, untruthful, not complete, not factual, just an opinion. All that stuff is out there. And most people have biases, and they select something from those biases. This too is affected by anxiety. When we're scared, we make bad choices. Listen closely, because I want to say this. When we're scared, we make bad choices. And another thing, it's okay to make a bad choice and learn from it and correct the choice. It's okay to say, I was wrong. You know that whole bell-bottom jean thing? We were wrong. Parachute pants? Very wrong. Remember the pockets with the zippers and those tight pants? They were like the precursor to yoga pant movement. Remember that? We call them parachute pants because, I don't even know why. I always thought it's because they look like they were kind of made out of parachutes, but not really. Remember Hammer Time? Remember that with those big puffy pants? Bad fashion choice. Sorry. The balloon pants with a cuff at the end? Those are really like Buddhist monk pants that he glittered up, those kind of things. So his legs could move and it looked like he was shaking his legs and butt. We can be wrong, I had some very, very, very tight held views on drug use and certain drugs being ineffective for the human mind, and I was wrong, and I admitted it. MDMA is now seen as a resourceful in small doses for all those of you still at the rave from last night, dancing to your dubstep. In small doses, it can be really effective for healing, transitioning in life, for pain control, and in many cases, too, for helping people to get to that memory consolidation stage in post-traumatic stress disorder so they can actually have healing in much quicker times. Just something to think about there. But it's all related underneath to anxiety. We dysfunctionally dysregulate our body because we're afraid, we see threats. Another thing we do is worry. We worry. Dr. Poor just did this article a long time ago. I've done several shows on this article because I really think it's important. But what he says is we worry because it becomes almost like a ritual for us. Some people believe, and this I've actually seen, it's pretty incredible. We personally worry so much that it becomes a ritual that we think we have to worry to stop bad things from happening in our lives. This is how anxiety subtly takes over when it creates rituals. There's this TV show that I used to watch a long time ago. It's like a political show, but they give an example of one of the rituals. This guy said something, goes, no, don't say that. Go outside, turn around 3 times, and spit on the ground. Because it's like a ritual to prevent bad things from happening. A lot of superstitions. Do you remember that one where don't step on a crack?
You break your mother's back.
Break your mother's back, right? Yeah. They have other people, like people with OCD have great rituals. They'll check. They'll check. Don't sweep over somebody's feet, right? There used to be one, don't put a hat on the bed. There's all kind of old school rituals.
Break 7 years bad luck if you break a mirror.
Don't walk under a ladder, it's bad luck. Yep. 7 years bad luck if you break a mirror, even if it's an accident. But the idea is somehow by worrying, it feels like it's helping. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be concerned about stuff and fix things, but worrying doesn't help you fix things. The reason why, the rationale is, worriers develop strong beliefs that worrying is necessary to prevent bad things from happening. That means if I worry, it won't happen. What happens when what you think won't happen, that you're worrying about, does happen? Then what do? Guess what? You worry about the next thing. And then you worry more because this bad thing happened. And then you do this thing. How many bad things happen in a row? 3, right? It's always 3 bad things. I don't know why. Maybe it's based on the Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. 1, 2, 3 bad things. Or it's just another ritual that's kind of made up. I'm not saying that we can avoid worrying altogether, but I can say it's much more helpful to focus on solutions, possibilities, solutions to make the things get better, or to learn lessons from mistakes we made than to focus on the bad things, the hard things, the scary things, the things that promote anxiety. There's a great article, it's like that also is part of this one thing, and it's about the lessons we can learn from anxiety. And we can learn a lot from anxiety. We can learn that we don't need to worry as much. I'm not saying you're going to give up worrying and say, oh well, my car died, so what? I'll just walk from now on. Or, oh well, I don't have money to pay my bills, I just won't work anymore because it doesn't matter, you know. I'm not saying that that's the way to deal with it. I'm saying it's like, why not try to worry, figure out, and then move towards the solution? See the problem for what it is. Understand the ways to solve that problem and then move forward. It's not as easy as it sounds. I know that. But the truth is, if we can use anxiety to not paralyze us and keep us stuck in worrying, to keep us static and still, then maybe our lives can get better quicker. Another thing that he says is to open up to your anxiety. Understand about where it comes from. Why do I get so nervous when I talk on the radio? I don't know, maybe it's because I don't talk on the radio all the time, every single day. Maybe you need 7 or 8 years to get to have a good show finally. Maybe you need 4 or 5 months to get yourself used to talking for a period of time when you know other people may be listening. For me, I just pretend that there's one person out there listening, and it's probably somebody in my family, and they're just doing it to be support, so they're like half listening. So that makes me feel like I'm just talking to like my daughter or my sister or my brother or my cousin or my nephew about stuff. Sometimes I'll imagine I'm talking to a patient, and we just did our first session, and I'm saying, these are all the good things that you can do to help yourself out, and this is where the work goes, you know. And today I really like this idea about anxiety because we all have anxiety. We live with anxiety. And it's such a better life when you can deal with anxiety. We call it coping, but really it's called adaptive behavior. We adapt to our environment. There used to be a great saying, it's like, not about what happens in life, it's about what you do with it. And simple, but complex. And if you think about it, just for a second, what do you do with the things in life that cause you anxiety? Most of us, we relive them over and over and over again. Some of us, primarily people who work in the industry, we learn how to deal with it, and sometimes we use that, but most times we don't because we have automated anxious processes. That's why I say anxiety is almost impossible to let go of, because we all have brains. And we don't have a chip we can install that's the anti-anxiety thing. You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be cool if you had like a little button? It's like, calm button, boop. Ooh, everything's cool. The world is great. I'm feeling good. Anxious button, boop. Oh my God, it's falling apart. If we had that, it'd be easier. But no, it's subtle responses based on a history, based on past incidents, based on things we think are threats. If you think about it, you know, we kind of got to work on it. More studies show in neurology, if we understand and have an explanation for what is a good behavior and what is a potentially hazardous behavior, sometimes we can actually achieve the good behavior, the good situation, the good emotional response, and all that stuff. It's called life and development. If we develop over time in an environment that's conducive to us, we thrive. If we develop in a harsh environment, we have a harder road to get through it. If we've always had fear, always have anxiety, if we've had events in our life that just consistently keep us afraid, keep us distant, keep us in a maladaptive state, we've got to work on it. Opening up to your anxiety means seeing that it's there, trying to understand where it comes from. This is what we do in narrative therapy when we say, tell me the story of your life. Tell me what scares you. Tell me what makes you kind of feel nervous and anxious. Another thing that people with anxiety do is they project into the future. Lots of anxiety is related to things that are going to happen, based on things that happened in the past, but things that are going to happen. Things are way out when people start thinking not about the week ahead, but the years ahead, the months ahead, the days ahead, you know? The one thing that they say in lots of theories about anxiety is you've got to let go of control. You can't control it. You can't manipulate it, because that's when we start doing these different things. We have to understand sometimes we're going to be nervous. Sometimes we're going to feel anxious. If there's something that's scary or dangerous that we may have to go through, or, you know, things in life happen, get help. Find people to support you. Figure out ways that you can take breaks from. I actually have lots of people that I talk to have really, really difficult things going on in life. It makes them really anxious. Anxious to the point that they can't function in the world sometimes. There's a thing called agoraphobia where people have a hard time even getting out of the house. There's just ongoing panic and anxiety from people who have been in very difficult spots, say like combat zones, where they've been under threat constantly for years, right? How do you live when you have all that going on? You have to relinquish control. You have to look for the other side of anxiety. What is the opposite of being anxious? We call it peace. Oh my goodness. We don't talk about that enough. Tranquility. Another great word that we use on the show a lot, harmony. Finding situations in life where everything's okay. Because if you think about it, if you're at home, safe, sound right now, you have everything that you need to exist in this moment. All the money you need, all the food you need, all the air to breathe, all the water to drink in this moment, in the very presence, in the next second. Normally we do have that. I had a friend who used to remind me of that all that time. I'd be talking to him and going, I got to do this, and I got all this stuff to do, and blah, 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 blah. And he'd go, wait, hold on, take a breath. Deep breath. Exhale slowly. You're going to miss the miracle that's going to happen. Each breath possesses the ability to have the next miracle in your life. If you're focused on the wrong thing, you're going to miss it. If you have the wrong intention, you're going to miss it. If you're worried about the wrong thing, focused in the wrong direction, focused in a tunnel with a train coming at you, it's not going to work for you. It's not going to help you. It's just going to distract you from the solution. He in this article, they also say you got to listen to your body. When you have anxiety, you have to see what's happening. Primarily in the automated systems, our heart rate goes up because the vagus system is connected to the heart. Sometimes our stomach will get rumbly, you know. In bad anxiety over durations, we can have high blood pressure, we can have heart disease, we can have stomach issues, we can have a lot of things that go on. Eventually, if anxiety is going on too long, it can cause this thing called depression. Major depression, or major or moderate depression, or adjustment disorders with depression and anxiety. All those things can be felt within the body. Sometimes we don't eat enough. Sometimes we eat poorly. Sometimes we don't do the right things or make the right choices because we're scared, and we make things out of impulse. Impulse. Number 6 says, don't cling to good feelings. You know? We're often told to be happy and to feel confident and to feel good, but for the emotional work, you don't have to be in a fixed place. You can do this thing we call emotional granularity, which is a newer neuroscience term developed by this awesome work by Elizabeth Fielding Barrett. She just put out a brand new text on emotional granularity. And the idea is to try and work on making our emotions less intense so they're more controllable. It's very Spockish, very Vulcan, but the idea is not to become a robot, but to understand the source of our emotion. Understand that emotions sometimes are the first thing we do. The first reaction we have is emotional because we sense a threat. If we have anxiety, that's the way we live. This is too hard. This is too hard. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Another way to deal with that in anxiety is this is really going to be hard. What do I got to do to get ready for it? These are the things I'm going to do to get ready for it. This is how I'm going to achieve it. If it doesn't turn out the way I want, okay, let's do the next thing. Different ways of thinking. Limiting versus moving. When our life is healthy, when our life is going well, it feels as though we're moving towards something, not moving away from something. Moving towards something, trying to figure out how to fix things, solve things, make things better. Looking at solutions, not always problems. Seeing problems for what they are. Opportunities to change, opportunities to grow, opportunities to move past, to get help, seek support, find others to assist us, to even find people and meet new people who have similar things to help each other. It's a different way to think. Normally people go like this. Scared, no. Run away, run away. Scared, no. Fight, 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 fight. Scared, no. Stuck, freeze, 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 freeze. In various forms, Staying at home and distracting with TV is a version of freeze, right? It's also a version of flee. It could be both at the same time. Getting on the internet, making comments and in ways to everything that is different than to you is going to be problematic because you're going to be fighting and fighting with each little comment. Fighting. Eating to make you feel better sometimes because you're stressed out. Seriously, I do this myself. I apologize to everybody who thinks this is not problematic or not part of their lives, because most people it is. We like carbohydrates, sugars. There's a great several articles on how junk food actually changes your neurotransmission to crave junk food. Donuts, cupcakes, ho-hos, ding-dongs, Twinkies, all those things program us to crave the food that we're eating. Potato chips, other things like that, all make us crave them and change the way we act. It's very much like what we call in the biz substance-related disorder or behavioral addictions. I mean, addiction seems to be such a bad word, but really it just means we have this habit that we can't control and we act on it over and over and over again. In Alcoholics Anonymous, they say you do the same thing expecting different results over and over again, and that's how they define insanity in substance-related disorders, The cocaine addict says, I'm going to quit, doesn't quit. The alcoholic says, I'm going to quit, drinks more. All those things, in combination with the alteration of the human mind and the excessive production of dopamine, create habits. It doesn't mean they can't be undone. It doesn't mean we can't find new ways and solutions to fix them. So when we look at all these things together, we listen to our body, we look at the other side of anxiety, we let go of control, we open up to anxiety, we don't cling to good feelings, but know that they're there. We can help to identify ways to curb anxiety, and we can understand that all it is us going with our automatic situation, our automatic sort of reaction, and then somehow, some way, we kind of make our own little rituals. Then we end up doing things that are not necessarily good for us, you know? The thing with anxiety that's so attractive is it raises the level of energy. It makes you feel like you're in control. Worry, the ritual of worrying makes you feel like you're preventing something when really you're stuck. Isn't it weird that sometimes you could worry so much that you never do anything? You worry. I used to do this with traveling. I don't want to travel because it's scary. I don't want to travel because I might not get to where I'm going. I don't want to travel because they'll lose my luggage. Or I don't want to travel because all this other stuff. But then when I experience the travel and trip itself, I say, you know what? All of the things that worry me limited my life, left me in a smaller world, and kept me contained and safe. And that was okay then. But if I push myself little by little, I can actually get up and go and see the things in the world that I want to see. That I can go and meet people who are different than me, who have a different lives, do things a different way. I could connect with them, talk with them. I've talked about my trip that I went to several countries in Europe over the summer, and meeting people from different cultures and countries and talking to them. You know what? Humans are humans all over the world. We're all the same. We do the same things. You know, meeting new people, even with some language barriers, it's really awesome. I would go and sit next to these great scientists and not even know who they were until after they left me. And they were really just people with ideas. They were curious about things. They were looking to help people. One of the good friends I made this gentleman named Bill Reynolds. He's one of the top narrative authors on the planet, you know. Harvard educated, Cambridge fellow, one of those guys, you know, one of the unique minds of our generation. Spurred a whole field. Created a conference that's global and international. Last conference he helped to create something like 120 different countries come, with professors and students from all over the world coming just to talk about stories and how to help people through using these different ideas within this field. Amazing. And when I talk to him, he's just a person with anxieties, same kind of thoughts as every other human. It's just what he does with his anxieties are different. He uses it to create something to contribute to his work. He uses it to create and expand ideas. He uses it to help other young people find careers, things like that. Those are more positive versions of anxiety. A couple things that we can do to help ourselves curb our anxiety. Number one, drink water. Please, 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 please. I know people don't like water. I don't know why it's got a bad rep. We're made almost all of water. You know what I mean? We're made out of water. Water helps to increase blood flow in your body when you're anxious. Drinking cold water can help calm you just a bit. Lots of deep breaths. This one says drop and do 10 push-ups. Maybe go for a walk. Connect to the world. I read an article this morning and it said even just touching water, feeling water, can be helpful to you. Something about water in the atmosphere environment. I have water sounds, white noise that makes water sounds. I have a waterfall in my office. I water my plants all the time. Another thing is clear your clutter. And then finally, another one that's helpful with anxiety is focusing on reality, and then slow your breathing down. That's the number one thing to do, is slow that breath down. All right, folks, thanks so much for joining us here on Health, Happiness, and Harmony here at 99.1 WQEE, the station in which we promote mental health for all our employees and all of our listeners. I'm Dr. Lewis Boynton, and please join us here every Zensday from 10 to 11, and we'll be back soon.
psychotherapist working in the heart of the South. And from my experience providing psychotherapy in my community and doing a radio show and just researching topics on